On my recent rewatch of Dexter Season 8, I became intrigued by the character Zack Hamilton. At first glance, Zack is a weird rich kid with daddy issues, but later ends up becoming the son that Dexter always wanted and a victim of wasted potential. Now, the first introduction that we get to Zack is when Dexter is sent to compel a DNA sample from Ed Hamilton, his father, on the suspicion of murdering Norma Rivera. Zack approaches Dexter and seems to be quite interested in the analysis of what happened to Norma Rivera, and tells Dexter they're wasting their time investigating his father because he's an not a killer. As Dexter gets suspicious of Zack and follows him, we find out Zack is drawn to blood and has a hobby of showing up to crime scenes and taking pictures for fun. Dexter is positive he'll find evidence that Zack killed Norma Rivera, but is thrown off track when he discovers that Zack is one of Dr. Vogel's patients. If Zack is guilty, Vogel asks Dex if he could see her first before putting Zack on his table. On the same day, Dexter is called to a crime scene, and to no surprise at all, Zack is there taking pictures of the victim. Seeing a chance to get closer to Zack, Dexter lets him on the other side of the yellow tape to get a closer look at the crime scene. We see that Zack is in awe of the scene, even going as far to say that it's amazing. After taking some pictures and Dexter showing interest in seeing how the pictures will turn out once they're printed, Zack invites Dexter over. It is here that we truly see the attraction Zack has towards blood, even taking the time to ride the saturation to increase his colour in his photos. He's delighted for getting a chance to get close to the crime scene, stating he keeps forgetting it was a crime scene and not just a show of blood for himself. Dexter spots a picture of a woman on Zack's desk, but he plays it off as a test for his new camera lens. The woman in the photo is Sofia Fuentes, an employee at the Cypress Harbor Yacht Club owned by Zack's family. We find this out after Dexter and Quinn, he's suspicious of Zack too, tail our boy and see him taking pictures at a woman's yoga class. His eyes and camera locked in on one person. In theory, if Zack likes to take pictures of his victims before the deed, chances are he likes after photos as well. Dex investigates Zack's place, finding the yoga photos from earlier and photos of Norma Rivera seconds after she departed. Unfortunately for Zack, he's in the picture too, holding the murder weapon in hand, giving Dex the proof he needs. Sticking to his word, Dex shows the pictures to Vogel, but she confesses she already knew. Vogel didn't tell Dexter because she sees potential in Zack and wants to teach him the code. As far as we know, Dexter is the only person in the Dexter universe who has learned the code, only because Vogel didn't have Harry anymore to help her. In her own twisted words, she wants to see if the experiment will work with Dexter by her side. Dexter, not convinced, like all of us, leaves determined to put an end to Zack. On the night Dexter's been waiting for, he finds out Zack is going after Sofia Fuentes, or is he? In a similar outfit to Dexter, Zack creeps up on his father, but is stopped by Dexter's needle. After a close call with Quinn, Dexter finally has Zack on his table, and it is here when we get one of the most interesting moments in the season. On the table, Zack confesses his reason for his actions were because of his father's affair, stating his mother won't stop drinking because of it. He thought if he took out Norma Rivera, it would put an end to it, but 2 days later his dad had already moved on to the next. So he decided he was going to eliminate his father to put a stop to it once and for all. Although Dex believes him, it still doesn't explain Zack's hobby of showing up to crime scenes and accidents, taking pictures of all the blood. Zack enjoys the feeling of control, and after Rivera had a massive weight lifted from his chest. Zack wants Dexter to cancel Christmas on him, but Dexter doesn't. He relates to Zack and realizes that our boy never had a teacher, he never had a Harry. There are parts of Dexter he cannot share with his own son Harrison, but with Zack it's different. Maybe he can teach him the code and become a spiritual father. Although Dexter has spared people in the series before, even teaching the code to his once friend Miguel Prado, this is different. Not only can Dexter relate to Zack's attraction to blood, but he understands if he didn't have someone to talk to at his age, they would have been the same. Maybe Dexter is ready to step up and become his own Harry, guiding someone else to be just like him. Despite the fact season 8 is the weakest season of Dexter, I think this storyline could have been great. If only they didn't kill Zack off only 2 episodes later, have Hannah come back and ruin Dexter and Zack's meetups, and only allow Zack to dispose of one criminal using the code, sort of. This would have been a refreshing plot for the already well-established Dexter cycle. Zack was only in a total of 4 episodes, and I think his death was only good for shock value. Yes, I felt a little bad, but for the most part, we didn't see enough of him to truly feel his death. Evil Ryan Gosling was a great villain, deserving his own video by right, but I can't help but feel like Zack was wasted. Maybe if Zack was introduced earlier in the season, actually getting valuable advice and guidance from Dexter, perhaps Dexter even tagging along on one of Zack's hunts taking a back seat, his death wouldn't have suffered from a lack of build-up. It's not enough to show me a car ride with Hannah, Zack and Dexter, plus a dinner with Dr. Vogel afterwards to make Zack's death hit as hard as the writers intended. If Zack was only in one more episode before his death, I think this would have been more than enough time to build it up. What truly frustrates me is that in all 9 seasons of Dexter, they still didn't manage to find someone to fully accept Dexter and stay alive. After watching New Blood, we see that Harrison understandably can't accept his father for who he truly is and ultimately puts him to rest until summer 2025. Before Harrison fully knew Dexter's secret, we see Dex long for his son becoming his partner, just as he's always longed for a partner in almost every season. From when Dexter found out Harrison had his dark passenger, it's quite clear the type of son he wanted was supposed to be like Zack Hamilton. A son to pass down the code to and be weird with. Maybe it's intentional that every person who finds out Dexter's secret or becomes an accomplice leaves his life in some shape or form. That still doesn't excuse the fact the show wastes the opportunity to give the Dark Defender a sidekick, even if it's a little corny. What if Dexter left with Hannah and Harrison to Argentina, with an alive Zack Hamilton still in Miami? Not only would Zack be able to use the code to not get caught, but Dexter would finally become free of his dark passenger, knowing he became a true spiritual father to Zack. Dex could finally become the family man he desires, as he actually had time to teach Zack to be just like him. Almost like a passing the torch moment. After 8 seasons, Dexter's dark passenger is quiet, knowing Zack is continuing his work. Or maybe this knowledge feeds the dark passenger, waiting to be in the driving seat again. I don't know, man, maybe I'm reaching, but what if Zack survived just a little longer? What if Zack was the one who saved Deb by jumping in front of the bullet shot by Saxon? Just imagine what could have been if Zack Hamilton wasn't wasted. I think he could have been great.